Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to trace the incredible journey of artificial intelligence in the world of accounting. It's a story that goes from trying to basically put an expert in a box to finding expertise in a massive sea of data. So, let's just kick things off with this mind-blowing fact from Forbes, because it really sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about. I mean, think about it. It's like we went from having a single bookshelf of ledgers to trying to find one receipt in a library the size of a planet. This is way more than just more information. It's a fundamental change in the entire world that accountants have to operate in.
This data explosion, it's a huge challenge, right? But it's also a massive opportunity. And for a profession that's built on precision and judgment, the big question has always been, how can technology help us make sense of all this? To answer that, well, we have to look at how the attempts to solve that problem have evolved over time.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We're going to explore this whole evolution in 6 parts, telling a story of problem-solving and adaptation that spans really over 3 decades of unbelievable technological change. And we'll start with the one thing that never changes.
Before we even get into AI, let's ground ourselves in the core mission of accounting. Because it's always been about making critical decisions when the stakes are incredibly high.
You know, this is a field where professional judgment isn't just a nice skill to have, it's an absolute necessity. Whether you're an auditor assessing risk or a manager trying to put together a budget, you're looking at evidence to make a call. And the cost of getting it wrong? It can be huge. This is the fundamental problem that technology has always tried to help solve.
Okay, let's hop in a time machine and go back to the early 1990s. This was the first major attempt to use AI to tackle that core challenge. They called them expert systems.
The big idea here was, well, it was brilliantly simple, but also incredibly ambitious. What if we could clone the brain of a top accountant, all their knowledge, their rules of thumb, their reasoning, and put it all on a floppy disk? The goal was literally to codify an expert's judgment into a piece of software.
And what's so fascinating here is seeing that ambition in action. I mean, these were not simple calculators. Systems like GCX were built to help with really complex, judgment-heavy tasks like going concern assessments. They were even using specialized programming languages like Lisp, which was designed for this kind of symbolic reasoning, all in an attempt to capture that human-like thought process.
And the promise? It was revolutionary. Think about it. Your top tax partner, the one with 30 years of experience, is about to retire. With an expert system, all that knowledge doesn't just walk out the door. You could bottle it, you could share it instantly with a junior associate in another country, and you could even use it to train the next generation. It was all about making world-class expertise scalable and, in a way, immortal.
So, if these expert systems were so promising, what happened? Well, in a word, everything. The entire nature of the information landscape was about to be completely rewritten by what we now call the data deluge.
That limited, pretty structured data world of the 1990s was just washed away. We went from a manageable stream of information to a full-on tsunami. A zettabyte? That's 1 trillion gigabytes. And we're expected to create 149 of them this year alone. That is enough data to fill a stack of books that could reach the planet Pluto 40 times over. An expert's brain, no matter how brilliant, just couldn't process this. The old rulebook was totally obsolete.
And this slide, it just brilliantly illustrates the new reality. The whole paradigm shifted. We went from structured, limited data to the huge, messy world of big data. And most importantly, the source of truth was no longer just in an expert's head, it was now hidden in the patterns within the data itself.
Okay, so let's move into the modern era and see how accountants are tackling this data deluge with a completely new toolkit and, really, a whole new mindset: data analytics.
Today's approach isn't a one-off task. It's a continuous process, often framed by a model just like this impact cycle. And the crucial change in philosophy, the real game changer, is right there in step 1. Identify the questions. We don't start anymore by asking, what does the expert know? We start by asking, what does the business need to find out? And that one change, it transforms the accountant from just a record keeper into an investigator. This new approach, it's like a ladder of capabilities. You start with descriptive analytics just to see what happened. Then you climb a rung to diagnostic to understand why it happened. Then you climb even higher using predictive analytics to forecast what will happen. And finally, you get to the top with prescriptive analytics, which can recommend what you should do about it.
So that's the theory. But the crucial point is how these abstract ideas actually get used in the real world. How does a modern accountant actually do this stuff?
Yeah, forget about coding in Lisp. Today's analyst is using interactive tools like Power BI and Tableau. And they're not just applying some old rules. They are actively exploring huge, real-world data sets from companies like Dillard's or Lending Club to uncover insights about everything from sales returns to loan defaults.
Here is a perfect example of a diagnostic technique in action. It's called Benford's Law, and it basically says that in many natural sets of numbers, the first digit is way more likely to be small. So this chart can instantly show an auditor if a set of vendor payments looks unnatural. See that big spike in payments starting with 8 or 9? That's a huge red flag for potential fraud. It just pops right out.
And this fundamental shift in tools and techniques, well, it's changing the very identity of the accountant. It's really not just about reporting the numbers anymore. It's about interpreting those numbers to give strategic advice. You're moving from bean counter to business advisor.
Okay, so let's bring this all together and look at what this whole evolution means for the future of the profession. Let's talk about the rise of the augmented accountant. This journey has been profound. I mean, when you put it side by side like this, it's just crystal clear. We've moved from trying to bottle the existing wisdom of an expert to developing the skills to find new wisdom directly in the data. The goal shifted from cloning expertise to discovering it, from codifying what we already know to exploring what we don't. And this leads us to a final, really provocative thought. If our tools can describe the past, diagnose the present, and even predict the future, what becomes the single most critical skill for the human accountant? It seems it has to be the skill to ask the right questions in the first place.